يلا امشي
هذا الختان
هات الكفن
اعطيهم يلا
ابو نجاة تعال تعال دخلهم امي تعال
Hello everyone, I am delighted to see such a huge crowd overflowing. This is very exciting. I'm Barbara Johnson, the coordinator of Jewish Studies here at Ithaca College. Jewish Studies is an academic program here at the college. We have a minor and we offer a wide range of courses and public events that are related to Jewish history, religion, and culture. We're committed to bringing to our students and to the wider Ithaca public, which seems to be very well represented this evening, varied perspectives on the Jewish experience in the past and in the present. And in this spirit, we're especially delighted to bring tonight two absolutely wonderful women from Israel. Safa Abu Rabia is a master's graduate of Gurion University in the Negev, where she grew up. She heads the Bedouin Women's Empowerment Program in that area, in Beersheba, and she teaches political science at Ben Gurion. Safran is a longtime veteran of the feminist and peace movements in Israel, and she teaches women's studies at Haifa University.
Good evening. I think that most of us are really honored by the immense crowd coming over. It's not very easy to introduce oneself these days, because now we are aware, acutely aware, that our identities are never one. Each one of us have multiple identities, and some of them painful, and some of them less so. I was born in Haifa in 1950. My parents came from East Europe, way back in the 20s, to what was then Palestine, or Palestine. Palestine is in English, Palestine is in Arabic. And I was brought up in a Zionist, left-wing, Hashomer Tza'ir, for those of you who know, sort of a family. Very willing to criticize the politics of the day from very positive point of view. You ever heard about positive criticism? Critical mind, this is what you say in college, right? We have to develop critical mind. So in my family, it was, you had to be critical from the word go. That was good, but that did not prevent me from having the traditional Zionist education that the Israeli state provides to anyone who cares to go to school, being Jews or Arab, or newcomer, oldcomer, etc., etc. And this is something that I've tried in a way to come to grips with for the rest of my life, and to get a wider perspective about our life there, about the sorrows, the pain, also the happiness of what we do there. It's very, very difficult, and has been increasingly difficult in the last 4 years to really carry on one's daily activities, getting up and working, children, sex, everything one does. Because there is all the time this tension that we are living like on the top of a volcano, which actually erupts every day, all day long. So what I do in order to survive is I developed with many other women a ritual which we call Women in Black. Every Friday at 1 o'clock we go to the same place. We stay there for an hour. We have our little hands, like a stop sign, saying an end to the occupation in Hebrew and sometimes in English and Arabic. And we keep on saying publicly, we do not agree to the policies of the state of Israel. No more, no less. So an end to the occupation. It means that anyone who walks there does not have to tell us, or we do not ask, what do you think about Zionism? What do you think about the border, or the future, or the past? If you agree to this slogan, you join in. And this enabled us really to have our vigil. It's not an organization, but vigil going on for many, many years. We started as the first Intifada started, early in '88. Some of the places around Israel closed down during the Oslo period, and they've restarted recently. And I must tell you that oftentimes I ask myself, why am I wasting time? I mean, I've keep on doing it. I've been keeping coming, and then nothing happens. There's no end to the occupation. Situation is not getting any better. Peace is nowhere to be found. I have to be there because this is the way I can keep on being one with myself, keeping my integrity. Saying in public, I do not agree, because if I don't go out to the public, it is as if I agree. I don't know what I agree, but I agree. And I want the public to know, even if they may not care, if they may spit in my face or call me bad names, which some of them do, I do not want to sit still and to let this government have the policies that they have pursuing, because it is not possible to live and to keep on living with no hope. No one wants to live like that. And we must find a way to change the situation, that people will be able to have hope, they will be able to have a sense of pride, running water, open roads, buses who do not explode. And when I say people, I mean everyone. And for me, it's very important to say everyone, because I really think that what Jewish Israeli deserve, everyone else deserves. And it's not important who you are, what is your religion, where you were born. There are some things that we should appreciate and accept as basic human rights: to live in dignity, to have open roads, to be able to get to your school, to get education, etc., etc.
Masal Khair. My name is Safa Abu Rabia, and I am multicultural identities. But I won't start with that. I want to start with something else. When Barbara described our dialogue between me and this wonderful person, Hannah. I met her just yesterday, and we developed such a wonderful chemistry between us. And this is not something normal in Israel. And I would like to start from this point because it reminds me something else. Yesterday we were at a reception in a private home, and I started to introduce myself. And I started with my multiple identities, that I am a Palestinian, Arab, Bedouin woman from Israel. And each one of these identities has a lot of complicity. And we can conduct a whole research of each one of them. And I started to tell the people, to present myself. And I started with the personal story that my mother is from a former village that's called Lubye, and it was located in the north of Israel, or the north of Palestine, before the '48 war, and how they were expelled from this village, and most of her family became a refugee in Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and what left from her family, very tiny, small family, have moved to Nazareth in the north of Israel. And when I finished talking about it, suddenly Hannah told me how she has a link to this story. And this is the story of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, that your uncle had died in this battle of Lubye battle, and this is really the story of us, the Israeli and the Palestinian people inside of Israel. But what I'm going to tell you is not. Hannah told me her link to this story, and after that, she hugged me. I mean, where can you find that in Israel, in this complex reality that we live in? And that made me really appreciate you more, because you treat my identity and the way I try so hard to establish my national Palestinian identity in Israel, and it's a battle for me every day. It's a whole conflict, and you treated that you were very large. You respected me, and you respected this kind of story, even though you have linked it with your own or your family's sorrow with it. So I started with this specific story so I can reflect you the reality of our life in Israel, but it's getting even more complex. This is my mother. My father had came from an unrecognized Arab Bedouin village from the Negev. The Negev is the south area of Israel. Unrecognized village is the way half of the Arab Bedouin people live without any recognition from the state. That means that they live without any elementary services like running water, like any other electricity, health care, education, nothing, like they don't exist. And if you look at the map of Israel, you won't find any of their villages, even though they do exist. I do exist, my father do exist. And what I'm trying to do, I was born and raised with my 3 sisters and 1 brother in Beersheba. Beersheba is a Jewish town, also in the south of Israel. And I was grown to this reality of post-48, post-war, into this new Israeli Jewish environment. And my parents want me to get wanted us to get a sense of belonging to who we are, because it's very hard for us, the Palestinian in Israel, to stay Palestinian, to keep our belonging or attached to who we are. And they try to do that by sending us to an Arab Bedouin school at Tel Sheva, which is Tal Sabia. It's near Beersheba. It's an Arab Bedouin town, and I educated there until my elementary period, and then I moved me and my sisters to a high school, Jewish schools, and there it was my confrontation, first conflict for me with myself, with my other identity. It was very difficult for me because I didn't find myself there. I grew up on my grandfather's story. He used to take us to Lubi village, and he used to always tell us that this is our land, this is your past, this is your history, and if you know that, you will know where to go from here. You will know your future. Your future is linked to your past. You have a past. And it all was, today I know to define it as an oral history. It was nothing written, nothing documented. And I always asked myself, well, he is telling me the story of his life, of my life. But why can't I find myself, my history, my life, in the books that I read and study and educated from in the Jewish school? I got to the Jewish school so I can get to a higher education, because the differences between the educational system, the Arab educational system and the Jewish educational system is they have lots of differences. So in order to get a high education at the university, I needed to go to this path. So I've always asked myself, where am I? Why am I being so invisible? Where here I am. I do exist, but I don't exist in these written books. And the teachers, the Jewish teachers, as sympathy as they were, they didn't know how to address this question of mine. My father always got very confused, because he didn't want his teenager daughter to, you know, get lost in this world. And he always told me, when you grow up, you will know better. So I grew up. And by his advice, I got to Middle Eastern Studies in Gurion University. And it's funny, Gurion University, Middle Eastern. You can make the connection. And there I started to find myself, to find my history, the written book that I was mentioned there, me, my family, my history. I suddenly have this positive experience that I do exist. I do have history, and it's written. This is the proof. And I started to feel really proud and good with myself. And did my master's in anthropology, and I interviewed the Arab Bedouin from the generation of Nakba, the generation of the 48, so I can document their history, or my history, or our history. Documenting their history is telling a lot. This mission is, like I said, it's more than an academic mission. It's more, I'm trying to find the answer to all my questions about my identities through the academic research.
Listen, Israel, Palestine, is a tiny, tiny piece of land. Go home, look at the size of New Jersey. It's more or less the same, just long, and New Jersey isn't. It's a tiny place, you know? And there are two determined, absolutely chutzpahdik, you know, nations nowadays, the Jews of Israel and the Palestinian Arabs of Palestine, you know, they won't let go. That's it. There's no way about it. Nobody will let go. And both of them, from their own good reasons, and I'm not here to judge, stick to that piece of land. And it's not big, and there's no water, not even oil, you know, to tell you the truth. Anyway, what should be done, you know? And me being somewhere in the middle, I was born just 2 years after the state was created. I'm sort of somewhere in between. I'm not the generation of the pioneers. My children, you know, are now sort of your age generally, young people, and they don't want to suffer. They want to enjoy life. They understand that you live only once. And we're here for some pleasure, you know. And many, many young people may not agree with me politically, but they definitely will agree with what I just said. That they would like to enjoy life. And this is true about Palestinians as much as it is true about Jews, and as much as it is true about anyone, young and old, everywhere. So, you know, we are in a different world, we are in a different stage, and suddenly, you know, we still have to go and die, and this is incredibly stupid, really. Incredible. I think everybody should visit the cemetery once a year and be respectful for life. We've got it only once. We have to respect it and do everything in our utmost not to lose life in any way. For me, this is crucial, and I think what has been happening in Israel, looking back and looking forward, is that we've been losing life, losing our life, other people killing and getting killed, and the same is going on and on and on. If I have any hope, it's because there is a generation to come, and maybe young people like me can join them, and we can change the world, because otherwise I don't see any point in keeping on and living in a world where we don't see any hope and we don't see any love and compassion in politics. And I think that most of us, especially I can tell you that in Israel, many, many people, left, right, Jews and Arabs, are really fed up and are really losing hope. And you may notice it by talking to people who come over here to live. But remember, not everybody can live and come to the United States. You need a visa, you know? and not everybody can leave Israel, and people who live in the occupied territories even can't get to the nearest town to take a bus to the nearest American consulate. This is why oftentimes on this delegation we get problems with getting Palestinians from the occupied territories, not from inside Israel, because they can't get a visa. And just to close this 5 minutes of mine, is to say that the information you're getting here, so the media, the popular media, the newspaper, what we get in Israel through the same media and newspapers got nothing to do with our reality. And what we do every day in our life, our demonstrations, our vigil, nobody knows about it, not because it does not exist, but because the media, the mainstream media, does ignore what we do. And this is for me so important to talk to you, because now you can at least listen. You may not agree, you may agree, whatever. You may take what we say to your life in one way or another, but at least you know that there is something else going on. It's not only what you hear on TV. Thanks.
Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East. As flawed as the democracy might be at this point, it's still the only democracy in the Middle East. And as a democracy in the Middle East, people are granted certain, or as a democracy, people are granted certain rights, especially women. And I was wondering how you feel about the rights that you're given as a woman in Israel, as opposed to the rights you would be given as a woman if you lived anywhere else in the Middle East.
Good question. I want to link it with what Hannah had just said about people losing hope in Israel, and about how people are not appreciated life. I think that people, Hannah, appreciated more the death than appreciated life. And I'm not just talking about the killing of people every day. I'm talking about people, especially the Palestinian citizens inside of Israel, that are being dying from inside. And this is another kind of dead. Well, why did I say it's a good question? Because people, especially in the West, are thinking that, and believing really and truly and passionately, that Israel is a democracy, and it's the only democracy in the Middle East. Well, let me tell you, as a citizen, as a Palestinian citizen of Israel, the democracy ends when it's come to me. And just one simple example that reflects that. My closest friend, my academic closest friend, when they hear me define myself as a Palestinian citizen of Israel, they say, "What? You are not. How can you say that? When you say that, you become my enemy. So please don't define yourself like that. Define yourself as a Bedouin. It's the most comfortable way to treat you." And they say that to me. Don't define yourself as, don't put yourself in the category of the enemy. Also about being a modern woman. Whenever Israeli people meet me, it takes them 5 or 10 minutes to overcome the shock. Okay, you are one of us. No, you are not one of us. You are the successful experiment that we have done to you, the Arabs in Israel. I mean, if you were in any other state, in any other, let me define it in another way, in any other Arab state, you won't be dressed like that, you won't be looking like that, and you won't be standing in front of us and have all this confidence and talking with me in the same level. And they really think and believe, like you said, I hope you don't believe what you said, that they are the cause of who I am today. And I'm sorry to tell you, and I'm always telling them that it's not. And I'm always telling them, don't take this credit. I mean, I know that they want to believe that in this process of modernization, me, Safa, the primitive one, the Bedouin primitive one, as they relate to us, become more modern because of them and their democracy. Well, where is this democracy with my family that has to struggle on her daily life for, I don't want to say education, I don't want to say school, I want to say the elementary thing, electricity, water, running water in the desert. They are living in the desert. You will come to Israel and you will see and feel what is the desert in Israel. Where is that democracy?
I just want to make sure that you understand what I was asking. I was asking you if you could recognize any rights you have as a woman, because this lecture is about women in peace and women in Israel. What rights you have as an Israeli citizen in Israel, as opposed to the rights you have an Israeli citizen, a female Israeli citizen in Israel, as opposed to a female citizen elsewhere.
Where is elsewhere? In the Middle East, in the Arab countries?
Yeah.
Okay, this is what I'm trying to say, that people think that in the Arab countries, women are more oppressed than Muslim women are oppressed. Like I said, nekuda. This is a fact. Well, it's not a fact. There is a lot of, this does reflect the reality of a lot of women, of female Muslim women in the Arab countries, but that doesn't mean that it's the whole truth. And that also doesn't give the excuse that in the name of the democracy we will liberate them, like, you know, your president tried to liberate the Iraqi women and the Afghani women.
By the way, the Iraqi women is an example, it's a very good example. If you want to talk about equality and human rights, Iraqi women were very, very liberated. They used to go to work, they had the right. Iraq as a civil society, no matter Saddam, etc., has more to it than what we all know. So Iraqi women compared to, say, Saudi women, and compare even to us, Jewish women in Israel.
Palestinian women in the occupied
Palestinian women, etc. So it's very complicated. No, don't generalize. It's very important because, listen, you know, Iraqi women had the right to go to work. They used to go to work. They were doctors and whatever.
Educated women,
educated. Yeah. They used, I mean,
exactly
everything.
Like the Palestinian women.
Everything.
Now they have to fight. You don't get the freedom for this woman by war, because even they were oppressed. And I'm not saying that they are not, but by war, you won't liberate them. You will make them fight harder because they have to fight first the occupation and second their own occupation against for their freedom as a woman, but also their freedom as a woman, and also the occupation brings them another war. They have to fight another occupation. And what's difficult? What is more difficult? What is? Did I answer?
Okay, thanks. That was a very useful dialogue, and that's really what we're working on. So I encourage the questions to, if possible, all be phrased as questions that we want to ask the speakers to find out what they think about things, and you did a nice job on that. Yes?
I'd like to know if either of you think that the Sharon government is actually interested in peace and the establishment of something that could be called a Palestinian state.
The answer is no. The answer of Sharon himself is no. Because he's not said any time that he really wants peace. Until Sharon, he had lots of governments, right and left wing, that did say that. They didn't want peace. Even then. Now, I've been puzzled by Sharon because he's not been saying much, you know. He doesn't tell us exactly what he's doing much, but he's not, you know, he's not worried about telling us what. So I was puzzled. I keep on thinking, what is it that he really wants, okay? So I, being a historian, now by profession and before by just wanting to know what had happened in the past, remember Sharon very much, you know, we all know him. He's been in the public eye since way back, since I was born. He has always said that the Palestinians have a country. Its name is Jordan. This is Palestine for him. The other side of the Jordan River is Israel, Jewish Israel. And that was it. And he never publicly admitted that he changed his mind. No. So I really believe that this is what he really, way back here, wants to pursue, that he'll not dare to say it, because if he'll say it, finish, because you don't say these things, you know, politically correct, you know what to say. It doesn't mean that you mean to do what you're not saying. So it's a very tricky thing. If there are two states, one is already there, Jordan, and the other is Israel, Jewish Israel, then what is left to do is to get the Palestinian population in this side of the river to go to the other side of the river. If they won't go with a carrot, with the stick, we'll give them a carrot, whatever. We'll get them out. How do you do it? You simply crush the spirit of the people. There may be people, but there will be no spirit. And this is what happened in Israel in 48. In 48, there was a war, as you all know, and the Palestinians lost terribly. Now, when you lose, there are lots of things to do when you win and lose, right? Israel did not want to have a large Palestinian population within itself, because the aim of the Zionists, as you said, you know, this is a very dear dream of many Jews, it was to have a Jewish state, not just a state, a Jewish state. So how can you have a Jewish state if you have 40 or 50 or 60% Palestinian? Even 20% is too much. You know, in Hebrew, in Israel, we talk about the demographic threat. Would you allow yourself in the United States to talk about demographic threat? Meaning, for example, the Jews are breeding too highly and there will be lots of Jews and finally there will be even a Jewish president, God forbid. No one would say, even the great anti-Semite or racist here would say such a thing, dare to say such. In Hebrew, it's a common thing. We talk about land, Judaization of the land. How can you Judaize a land, a piece of land? It's a piece of land. No, in Hebrew we say, Leyahed et HaGalil. What does it mean, Leyahed et HaGalil? I know that I can take you if you're not a Jewish and Leyahed you and to make you a Jew, but I don't know how to do it with a piece of land. But this is our language, you know, so there is a grand plan behind this man. This is what he wants. He has time because he does not suffer, and I'm talking personally. Neither Sharon, nor his sons, nor all the elite Israelis, people who have money, etc., etc., none of them go on the public transportation. I go. They don't. And how do I know? First of all, I'm somehow also connected to the elite. I'm privileged, I'm educated, etc., etc. So I know about it. Secondly, if you look at the list of the people, the names of the people who were killed in the terrorist attack on buses, look at them, analyze them. Anthropology class, you know, this is a good job, you know, it's terrible. None of the elite people, you know, the name, the Ashkenazi name from the affluent, you get the name, you get the address, you can get everything. Most of the people were either new immigrants from various places, Palestinian, working class people, poor people, etc., etc. He doesn't go on a bus. His children doesn't go on a bus. It's very, very sad that I have to stand here and to say it, but I really, and I'm horrified to think that what I'm saying to you is actually true, but he doesn't die. Okay, so another 1,000 people, Jewish people. And about the Palestinian, the more the better. The more the better. Why should they enjoy life? You know, today with the world that is being created now, children cannot go to their school because the village, I saw it with my own eyes. These are not stories, okay? I went there and I saw it with my own eyes. The village is here, the wall is here, and the school is here. You go to school, at 5 to 10 they open the gate. If you're there, you go through. If you don't, you're not, you don't. And if you're at 10 o'clock feel ill or something and you need your mom, forget about it. At 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock they open the gate. If you're there, you're back. And if you're not, that's how you get to school. Is this, how can you bring up children like that? you know, and believe me, I mean, we can talk about it until tomorrow morning. We have 1,000 stories to tell you, but there is a policy behind it. There is something that Israel is not interested in any solution, because any solution today may mean that the dream of Sharon and other people to have a whole greater Israel with minimal amount of Palestinian will not be achieved. So this is very sad. I'm sorry that this is the news. Don't kill me, I'm the messenger. I've not, you know, I have nothing to do with it, but really it fills me with fear, because this is my country. Don't get me wrong. Nobody here will get me wrong. I love this place. I'm here with Safa, who loves this place. We talk from love. We talk from a place that we care. We're not here to hate, and we want to live on this place. But we want to stay alive, and we really think that things should be otherwise. And not let anyone tell you that if someone like myself or Safa come here and have our views, this is because we are, I don't know, how do you call them? Jew haters and so on. You know, this is not to say that Israel is the evil of all nations. We're human beings. We are bad and we are good and we are everything. But if someone like you really comes from a place that you love the place and you want to care about the place, you have to study the history of what is going on. You have to know the details. You have to know what's going on every day, and you have to do something. You have to call your congressman or woman. You have to write a fax every day, a letter to someone, get organized and say, listen, we have to know the facts. We have to look what's going on. And we don't want to eat any old-time propaganda. You know, it's finished. You know, propaganda is one thing and reality is another thing. And let us really do something about it. You can do. I mean, you have lots of. You're talking about democracy. If it's a democracy, so what? You go once in 4 years and you put your zetele, your notice. What is it? Is this democracy? We Jewish women in the state of Israel are not living under democracy because Israel is one of the few states on this earth, Iran included, where the Jewish law, the religious Jewish law, is the law of the state. Thus, every Jewish woman who cared to marry a man might find herself aguna. Aguna, it means that you will never be able to marry someone else, that you will never be able to have children with another man because your children for 7 generations to come will be mamzerim, bastards. I've seen a woman, a religious woman, on Israeli TV saying publicly, she said, I am a religious observant woman. And I'm sorry to say to all the women, the Jewish women listening to me, do not get married. Because according to the state law, to the only democracy, we are not allowed to be free if my husband, God forbid, decided to just leave me, just like that, you know. He, according to the Jewish law, is allowed to have another wife. He can have children with another wife. So we have to be careful with the word democracy. We use it too, you know, too easily. What does it mean, democracy? Who is enjoying it and who is not? And just to finish with this one, to tell you something amazing, that when Israel was created in 1948, the state of Israel adopted the laws, the personal laws of the British Mandate, okay? Where did you think the British Mandate got their laws on the personal status? From the Ottoman Empire. But in 1911, in Turkey, there was a revolution. And they've changed these laws, and they became a secular state. And there is a separation between state and religion in Turkey. But not in Palestine, because the British came over. And this came over and over, and this is why Safa is one status, I'm another status. Each one of us is allocated his or her religion, and it says on their ID that we carry, and we have to carry an ID card, which religion we are. This is not Judaism for me. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go for another question. I think she wants to know a bit more about how the education in Jewish schools, whether it was intended to give you an Israeli identity that would erase your Palestinian identity. Is that the essence of the question?
Short answer, yes. We've talked about it in the early class seminar. I don't mind to study Jewish history. On the opposite, I like to know the other side. I like to know their way of thinking, their point of view. But what about the Palestinian history? Why can't we study both? The Israelis and the Palestinians. I don't mind. But no, this is not how the educational system is built in Israel. And it has its goal. It has her mission, its mission. The mission is to make one narrative to all. And if you look at this narrative, you will find it's a very Ashkenazi narrative. It excluded also what you can refer as an Arab Jewish, the Jewish that came from the Arab countries. They don't exist in this Zionist narrative. So it doesn't just exclude me, it also excludes them. How does the major or all of the Israeli, Arab and Jewish students are educated? By one and only narrative, the Zionist one, the Ashkenazi Zionist one, that exclude a lot of parts, major parts of even the Israeli identities. You know, the Israelis are not just Hannah. There are Mizrahim, there are a lot of minorities from a lot of places. But where are they? Before the Second Intifada, you know, people used to get with each other and talk about themselves and the interaction with the other. But after the Second Intifada, something happened. Something very bad happened. And I can tell you from my personal experience, people got really extreme. If you ask the average Israeli person in the street, he will say horrible things about the Palestinian, and he won't even think to sympathize with them. And what happened after the Second Intifada between not just me and my friends, but between these groups that I coordinate between Arab women and Jewish women, that they got into big fights. Who's right? They got back to the first discourse, who's right, who was here before, and whose land is this, and it's mine, no, it's yours, and you did that to me, and we did that to you. And the Second Intifada brought each side to far away, and got more extreme, and a lot of hatred got in between.
I wanted to comment on the fact that there is dialogue. We even have here in Little Ithaca, we do have some sort of dialogue. At Cornell we have the JAM, which is Jewish Arab Muslim Dialogue, that we meet on a weekly basis, and we try to build a bridge between these two faiths and these two nations, at least to the extent that we could, build it. You mentioned earlier a question about, the wall, and I wanted to ask you more about that. What do you both, first of all, think about the wall? Does it really do the job that it intended to do, which is increase security for Israelis or for the Israeli nationals within the borders of the state of Israel?
If you live together and one is suffering, can the other one enjoy? Tell me. If your children are suffering, can you enjoy? If you're suffering, can your children enjoy? It's impossible. We are there like that, We may ignore it, we may disregard each other. I may not be able to speak Arabic, but we are like that. So the only security for Israel is some way along the road to find a compromise, to start a dialogue. I dare not say peace, it's too big. Manage the conflict, perhaps, you know, do something else, find out what else can be done. The world does not bring that. If you put someone in prison and the walls are very high, they'll dig underneath. If they can't dig underneath, they'll wait patiently like Mandela, 23 years in prison, you know, it's not easy. They'll come out. If they die, someone else will come out. I mean, listen, there's no way. There's no way. The Palestinians will not disappear. You may put them behind the wall. You may ignore them. You may not be able to read the stories, because there are stories inside Israeli mainstream, Haaretz, one of the mainstream Israeli newspaper. It's impossible to read it. It is so painful. So we have a new highway that crosses from north to south. Terrible ecological disaster, but never mind. If you go on this highway, on the left-hand side you see a wall. Actually, it looks just like this wall, but it's made of concrete. Just this block, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. This is it. Really, this is it.
You're associated.
Absolutely. And behind that, you can see, you are able to see the roof, the top roof, the roof of the houses. This is Tulkarem, a city, Palestinian city. Well, you say, okay, well, this is Israel, the green line was here, this is Palestine. Okay. But if you look at the map, because you can't see it when you're driving, this city, Tulkarem, doesn't have a wall only between me driving on this road and say Palestine, okay? No. The wall circulates the city from three sides. I don't know. Do you know Holocaust stories? Have you read them? I did. This is ghetto. This is a ghetto. So what? Will it increase the security of the person driving on that road? Maybe at that particular moment, yes, the person on the other side cannot shoot me. But that is irrelevant. The relevant thing is to ask question, does he want to shoot me? Does he need to shoot me? Does he have a reason to shoot me? Yes, the reason have increased 10 times, million times, because even if before he had some hope, some possibility. Now we can't even see anything. Why? Because there is this wall in front of the house. So no, the security of the people living inside Israel has diminished. And finally, they are under the impression, and you too, that here is a solution. There will be a war. Fantastic. Now we can be quiet. Do you know the history of the war of 73, the Yom Kippur War? Because we had this amazing Bar-Lev fortress on the Suez Canal, the army was not ready. We have a fort, you know. And this is what people said about those people who refused to go to the army, officers and so on and so forth. They said, you are putting all the incredible amount of Israeli army into shooting people in the roadblocks, into this and this, and you're not preparing for a real war. So what do you think? That we don't care about Israel? This is our country. We don't want to be losing a real war and dying, right? But you're wasting your time in killing a Palestinian who does like this with a flag. Let him have the flag. If he needs the flag, let him have a country. Let him enjoy. Let him worry or her about their democracy. Let them have an election. Let them have whatever they need. Let them be people, and then we can start talking. But as long as we think that this piece of metal and concrete will help, and I won't talk about how much money it costs. All of us could go and live until our pension days without work. Every single person in this room and many, many more.
It's really incredible how much money it costs each piece of thing. And I won't tell you about Jerusalem, which is, it's crazy. Please go there, have a look. Have a look at picture on the net. You know what they do? If there is a house here, Palestinian house, where Palestinian people live, and there is a house here where Palestinians live, the wall goes here. Could you imagine 8 meters wall between this house and this house? And what about the getting to your clinic if you're pregnant? And what about visiting your mother-in-law?
I would like to just end by asking you, with all of the lack of hope that you've told us about in Israel, what gives you the hope to keep on going and to come here and try to energize us in the way that you have?
I really need some time for myself to think about it. What gives me hope? Really? To come here, to fly all the way from Israel and stand up in front of you people and try to explain to you the complicity of my reality and why. I can live in a denial like all the rest of the Israeli people in Israel. I can just not open the TV and not hearing the news about the killing and not getting excited about and emotional about everything that happened. I can disconnect from these battles that happening every day on a daily basis. But really, can I? And this is a question that I asked myself. And even when I tried to disconnect myself and to apply for PhD studies so I can fight with the theories and not with people, but still, it will be theories about this conflict. So even if I try to run away from it, it keeps haunting me because it is there, because it's me. And I can't find myself, even though I tried. And I'm still trying. But really, what gives me hope? Okay. A lot of things give me hope. I think maybe it has to do with the fact that I'm still young. I'm only 26 and a half. It's important.
Yeah.
And I've been married for only 1 year. And I'm still in love with my husband, and you know, we are still in the beginning of our life, so it gives me hope, and I recommend that. And I know that, I know that I have this mission in life, and it's more than writing the academic dissertation, it's more than that. I see the children, the Arab Bedouin children, and I see how they are lost. They don't know how to relate themselves. They are not Israeli, they are not Palestinian, they are not Bedouin, they are trying even to lose this traditional primitive way of life, because this is what they've been raised to do, this is what they're brainwashed all their life, and this is the second or third generation. And they suffer so much, and now they think that in order to get out of this suffering, they need to be more Western people, to elaborate themselves from themselves. And they see that and I'm saying, oh my God, is this what I want for my children? And I want a better future for my children. I want my children to live in a safe environment, in a free environment, with Hannah's grandchildren. And I want my children to be proud of themselves, like my parents taught me to be proud of myself, and to stand here and to tell you that I am who I am. I don't need anyone to elaborate me from anything, and especially not from myself. I am an Arab, I am a Palestinian woman, I am proud of being like that. I don't need to be Western, I don't need to be anything else than who I am. I'm happy of being who I am, and I don't need anyone to tell me what I should be. And I want my children to be in this specific position like I have now. And I'm working very hard because I saw how hard my parents work. You know, it's very hard for an Arab Palestinian parents to raise 4 daughters in a Jewish environment. You know, I don't agree with everything Hannah said in the first about all America. You know, America is America. No, we've been taught that not everything from the West is good. You should take whatever is good for you, but you should preserve your Arabic traditional way. You are Muslim, you are female Muslim, and you don't have to be like anyone else, especially not like the West. You can take things from them, but the main thing is your own identity. And they work very hard to preserve that, and I do it this way. And I think that this what gives me the power to continue and do it until, I don't know. And by the way, when I came here, I really have a very conflict identities. But when I came here, you gave me hope. Why? Because you, the American people, are a multicultural nation. I mean, each one that I meet, everyone that I meet, his mother is German, his father is half, I don't know, something else, and his grandfather, and his stepdaughter is like that. So I'm in a good position. So that gave me really help, even though I live in a place called Israel, in the Middle East, a very conflictual place that doesn't leave me live with these identities in peace.
What gives me hope? Feminism gives me hope. I think that the fact that I'm angry gives me hope. I'm really angry, and I have no reason to wait. I do not want it for my children. I want it for myself. I'm such an egoist. I want it in my life. I want to see it now. I want people to be able to live in their piece of land, in peace, in quiet, pursuing their own life, thinking about the good thing that we can do. And I know it's possible. And it really makes me angry to see how it is being wasted every day. And I cannot stand evil. I cannot stand evil. You know, maybe this is the bit of Judaism that comes out in myself. I said before, I'm strictly non-religious, but I'm Jewish. You know, I cannot. This is the bit of myself, you know, say that we people who've been oppressed for many, many, many years everywhere on this earth should not oppress other people. It ruins us. It makes us evil. I just cannot, you know, it's physical, you know, I'm just, my whole body reacts, you know, I cannot be part of it. This is what keeps me going, and thank you for being here with us and giving us an opportunity to talk, and you see that we love it.
بعدنا بدايتها بعدنا اول يوم انت اول ناس
والله؟
انا في بوسطن 4 ايام
والله
بس كانت يعني راحه اما هون
كويس.
Thank you. Tunisia, Palestinian, one bit or two.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. كله كتير.
And all my other trips were just as a
Do you have an organization? Are you in an organization together, or are you in? Is there like an organization that you follow?
No, but we came by this FIP organization.
FIP, okay. That's what.
Yeah, so you can